Good evening. Welcome to the Executive Nominations Committee. We're going to start by, if all of the judges, we have several district judges, you don't have to necessarily come up to the table, but where you're standing, if you could stand, Charity, our committee counsel is going to swear you in before we proceed. So all of the judges in the audience, if you would stand just where you are in the audience and follow after Charity.
You solemnly swear under the penalties of perjury that the statements you make and the testimony you give before this committee will be the truth and nothing but the truth.
I do. Excellent. That was easy and painless. First, before we get started, this committee work in close partnership with the Secretary of Appointments. I see this evening we're joined by the Secretary of Appointments, Ms. Tisha Edwards, and with her able team here in the audience has helped prepare you all today. Will the members of the Appointments Committee please stand to be recognized? Staff. Thank you. Let's get. All right. First up to the podium, I believe I saw her earlier today, Senator Sarah Elfreth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Senator Sarah Elfreth, representing District 30, proud here to represent or present to you Judge Jennifer Alexander. You have her resume, so I always like to find some fun facts that might not be on her resume, and they usually always revolve around community service. Folks will recall Senator Simon Ayer championed a bill a few years back to institute courthouse therapy dogs. I'm really proud to say that Jennifer and her dog Mac were part of the pilot program to work with young people, children in our courthouses to make them feel comfortable in really tense situations. She's also been active in the Crofton Athletic Council. And when I asked her what she's most excited for on the Anne Arundel District Court, she said she's excited to start a mental health court here in Anne Arundel County, something we desperately, desperately need. And the last thing I'll share, in addition to her being eminently qualified, is it's also a really important matter, but she's only going to be the second mother ever on our district court, and the first one in 40 years. And I think this group knows representation matters, and I have every confidence that she will do the job ably and justly, and I have the utmost confidence and highly recommend your favorable report on Jennifer Alexander. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Welcome, Judge Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Senator Lamb, members of this committee. Good evening. My name is Jennifer Alexander. I'm very humbled and honored to have been appointed by Governor Westmore to the District Court for Anne Arundel County. I'm excited and I'm grateful to work for the citizens of this fine state and of Anne Arundel County. I will work to promote confidence in the judiciary and make sure that we have access to justice for all of our citizens. I want to thank my administrative judge, Shane Spencer, my husband, Bill Alexander, who's here today, and the Chief Judge, John Morrissey, who is also here today, for their support. Thank you so much.
Are there any questions? Thank you so very much, Judge Alexander. Is Senator Carter here?
Present.
Oh, come on up, Senator Carter.
Mr. President and members of the committee, it is my distinct honor to stand with and highly recommend our next nominee, Judge Martin Dorsey. Judge Dorsey is a product of one of the most prominent families in Maryland history. His father, Charles Dorsey Sr., who many of you may remember, he was a name like an icon around Baltimore for many years, had the distinct honor of being the first Black person admitted to my alma mater, Loyola College. He also then became, of course, known as the executive director of the Legal Aid Bureau, which a position he held until his death in 1995. So out of that family is our judge, Martin Dorsey, who I'm happy to recommend tonight. Martin Dorsey also bears a distinction of having a brother that serves on the circuit court for Baltimore City, Charles Dorsey Jr. And so as an associate judge, not only is he carrying on his father's legacy of greatness and fairness and being a great jurist, but he is also in his own right earned a wonderful reputation for being respectful, courteous, and patient. He embraces civil behavior and encourages civility from those who enter his courtroom. Judge Dorsey understands how important the district court proceedings are to the community and continuously ensures that those who appear before him understand that the district court is a vehicle for service and not a court of mere convenience. I also know that Judge Dorsey is an avid golfer, and I heard that he would like to have an upgraded golf course in the 41st District. So without further ado, I'm certain that Judge Dorsey will be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Senator Carter. Welcome, Judge Dorsey.
Thank you, Senator. Yes. Good evening, Chairman Hayes, Vice Chair Lamb, as well as all the members of the Executive Nominating Commission. My name is Martin Dorsey. I am a Associate Judge for the District Court for the state of Maryland. I sit in and for Baltimore City. I am here for reappointment. I will say this. 10 years ago, when I appeared in front of this committee, I told this committee that this was a dream job for me. I'm happy to stand before you again today and tell you that dream is still alive. I love what I do. It is the best task anyone could ever ask for, not only being a public servant, but also a member of the community and keeping intact with the community. I would like to thank Chief Judge Morrissey for being here, supporting me, as well as my administrative judge, Judge Hanger. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Any questions for Judge Dorsey? Thank you so much, Judge Dorsey.
Thank you.
Is Senator Washington here? Oh, excellent. Welcome, Senator Washington.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, State Senator Mary Washington, proud to be the Senator for Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and I'm here to endorse the reappointment of Nicole Pastore for Associate Judge, District Court. She's been committed to and a member of the Education Committee for the judges since 2014. She also started or initiated a jobs program with the good Senator McCray in 2006 as a part of the reentry process. So this program, a DC rep, connects, well, it's the Baltimore City District Court Reentry Project, connects job and educational training for individuals. It exists as an alternative to incarceration at some times, and also works simultaneously to reduce recidivism after people have been have served their time. The program, now it seems like I'm talking more about the program than the associate judge, but this is a passion of hers, and she wanted to ensure that you all understood just how important it is to the work that she does on behalf of the citizens of Maryland. And the program has graduated over 165 Baltimore City residents and has held 7 graduation ceremonies. The other thing for the 43rd District, not to be outdone, the judge has climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. How about that? She is Baltimore born and raised. She's the first in her family to go to college. And did you say you are the mother of 3 teenagers?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. So without further ado, again, I'm honored to present Judge Nicole Pastore.
Thank you. My name is Nicole Pastore, and I'm also here for reappointment of a 10-year term. As Senator Washington said, 10 years ago, I was the first in my family to go to college, more or less law school. So this is truly an honor to be able to sit on Baltimore City District Court. My parents emigrated from Italy, and I was born in Little Italy and went to high school in Baltimore. And it's so great every day that I get to give back through the jobs program that we got started. I want to thank Governor Moore for reappointing me. And I also have my administrative judge, Judge Hanger, here to support me, as well as my Chief Judge Morrissey here to support me as well. So thank you.
Any questions for Judge Pastore? Thank you so much, Judge. Oh, Senator Hershey.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. think we're going to say the same. I would just like to second the nomination as well. And Judge, I appreciate you stopping by to talk about the jobs court that you were doing there and the success that you've had. I think that's pretty remarkable. I think you told me it was the first in its nation to do that as well too. So certainly I'm sure that we will try to find a way to work with Judge Morrissey to get that implemented throughout the state. Because I think the successes that you've talked about are just are really impressive. So thank you for your work with that.
Thank you.
Senator McCray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I thought you would have took
Sorry.
care of this, Mr. Chair, but just Judge Pastorius, just you are the epitome of public service and just your leadership skills on how you navigate to make sure that we go above and beyond. I can't say thank you enough. Thank you again.
Thank you, Senator.
Excellent. Senator Sidnor.
I have a real tough question.
Okay.
You mentioned high school in Baltimore City, so I'm just curious, where did you go?
No, I said high school in Baltimore. I said high school in Baltimore.
Oh,
High school in Baltimore. I went to an all-girl Catholic school,
which one is that?
Notre Dame Prep.
Thank you. That's still in the city, right? No, that's.
No, that was
that's-
IND. That was
Thank
IND.
you.
Are there any additional questions for Judge Pastori? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to turn it over to the Vice Chair.
All right, thank you. Next, we have Judge Mark Skirty for a reappointment for judgeship. And to introduce him, we're going to have Chair Hayes.
Good evening, Mr. Vice Chair, Mr. President, members of Executive Nominations, Senator Antonio Hayes from the 40th Legislative District. For the record, and an honor to be here to introduce to many of you Judge Skirty. He's a lifelong resident of Baltimore, residing in the Hamden community for the last 17 years, past president of Baltimore City Bar Association, past president of Maryland State Bar Association, serving during COVID, current treasurer of the International LGBTQ+ Judges Association for the last 4 years, and currently serving on the American Bar Association's Committee on Delivery of Legal Services. He's a graduate of Loyola College in 1985, receiving an MBA there in 1987, and a law degree from the University of Baltimore in 1991. Had a chance to first meet Judge Skirty over the phone sometime this summer, and then we chatted briefly. He is definitely the epitome of public servant, enjoying doing his job and enjoy the service that he commits to our city and our state. And I urge a favorable report for Judge Skirty.
Good evening. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you, Senator Hayes, for that introduction. Vice Chair Lamb, President Ferguson, members of the committee. My name is Mark Skirty. I'm an associate judge at District 1, Baltimore City District Court. It is thank also to Governor Moore for reappointing me to another 10-year term. I also, with my other colleagues, recognize our administrative judge, Judge Henger, as well as our Chief Judge Morrissey for their support of our district and all of our judges across the state. I also particularly thank Judge Morrissey because he did appoint me as chair of the, with Judge Fader of the Court Operations Committee, and I would like to continue serving that committee on behalf of the state of Maryland and our judiciary. It is with pleasure to have served for the last 10 years. It has been, as Judge Dorsey mentioned, one of the most amazing, fulfilling jobs I've ever had, working with the public. And I brought to the court a private practice where I've served for about 25 years in private practice before coming into public service. And it has been the greatest thrill of my life and greatest achievement. So I urge your support. I thank you for your time.
There are questions for Judge Skirty. All right, thank you. Next, we have Michelle Saunders for the District Court for Calvert County. And to introduce her, we have Senator Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Good evening, Mr. Chair, Mr. President, and members of the committee. It's a pleasure to introduce to you Associate Judge Michelle Saunders, who is nominated to serve to be reappointed as a member of the Maryland District Court, District 4. Judge Saunders is a resident of District 27 in North Beach. She's a true civic leader in Calvert County, and the state of Maryland, where she has served for 10 years on the bench of the district court. She also, prior to that, served with as an assistant state's attorney for Calvert County. Judge Saunders had dedicated her life to justice and law, having served on numerous commissions and boards, including the Maryland State Commission on Criminal Sentencing and the Local Behavioral Health Authority as a board member. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I am particularly impressed with Judge Saunders for the creation and implementation of the mental health docket since August of 2018. As we know, and as we have heard during our extensive work since 2016 of juvenile, the Justice Reinvestment Act, that we have too many individuals who are in our criminal justice system who have behavioral health issues. And this project that she took on and has been a part of helps us to identify those who are suffering from those types of illnesses, so that they can get the help that they need. So I'm particularly impressed with that. And with that, I'd like to introduce Associate Judge Michelle Saunders to you today and to present her for nomination as for a favorable report.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Michelle Saunders. Thank you for having me here this evening. Thank you for the opportunity to stand here for reappointment. It has been a wonderful 10 years serving on the bench and having this opportunity to serve in this capacity, the citizens of Maryland and specifically of Calvert County. I am originally from Montgomery County, but I've been in Calvert for over 30 years now, so I consider myself a member of the Calvert County community and I thoroughly enjoy the opportunity that I've had to serve in this capacity and also previously as an assistant state's attorney and prior to that serving as a law clerk, which is how I made my way to Calvert County. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for Senator Jackson for being here and support of me, and thank you to my family for their ongoing support over the years. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Are there any questions? Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Judge. Is Judge Barkis here? So Senator Karen Lewis Young could not be here this evening, but she did not want the judge to go unrepresented, so she sent a letter in her stay. Were you going to read the letter? Sure. Oh.
I don't have it.
I have it. Don't worry about it. Okay. I wasn't sure why you were standing. But Judge, I'm sorry, Karen Lewis Young definitely reads, I apologize profusely that I could not make it here to make an in-person presentation tonight in District 3 night. Tonight is District 3 night, where many of us host our constituents to come down to Annapolis, which she's been organizing for several months. She writes to express her strong support for the reappointment of Honorable Earl Burgess for the position of Associate Judge for the District Court of Frederick County. Judge Burgess has a long and distinguished career of both public and private service and is well qualified to serve as a community judge. I'll go down a little bit and share this letter with you later, Judge, but she also says that the judge has served on boards of several community organizations such as Hartley House, Western Maryland Chamber of Alzheimer's Association, and the Frederick County Chamber of Commerce. He has also been recognized for his work with the Maryland Disability Law Center. Senator Karen Lewis Young urges a strong recommendation for a favorable report for Judge Bargis. Welcome, Judge.
Thank you very much. My name is Earl Bargis. I'm a associate judge in the District Court of Maryland for Frederick County. That's in District 11. I first want to thank the Honorable Chair and Vice Chair and esteemed members of the committee for hearing me today. I also want to publicly thank Governor Moore for his gracious reappointment. I really look forward to serving the people of Maryland, as well as particularly people of Frederick County. I'm very proud that we started a mental health court under my supervision, and that's continuing to grow. I'm also very proud that under the guidance of Judge Schaefer, we are going to initiate a veterans court in both Frederick and Washington counties in the summer. I'm very happy to be here today with my lovely wife, Anita, has always given me such support and guidance that I couldn't do without. Also appreciate Judge Morrissey for being here today, and I appreciate Senator Karen Lewis-Young's kind support.
Thank you so much, Judge. Are there any questions? Where's Senator Reedy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm the only member of the Frederick County delegation on this committee. So I just wanted to take a moment. I have a very small piece of Frederick County, but I just want to take a moment to second the nomination. I've heard some great things, and you all are doing a great job in the court system, the mental health court, and then the Veterans Court is a really great concept too, to help when our veterans interface with the court system for a variety of reasons. So that's an exciting step to take forward. But I want to second the nomination and look forward to supporting you.
Thank you, Senator. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Senator Reedy. Are there any additional questions for the judge? Seeing none, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have, is Senator James, did she make it yet? No, give us 1 second. I know she's on her way. We'll get to her in a minute, but no, she's not. But Senator Watson is here. Senator Watson.
That's great.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, Mr. President, colleagues. Senator Ron Watson from the 23rd District, proud to represent Bowie, Upper Marlboro, Mitchellville, Maryland, here to extend my enthusiastic support for Judge Lisa Hall Johnson for District Court of Maryland, District 5, Prince George's County. She's a resident of Mitchellville, Maryland, holds a BA from the University of Virginia in economics and sociology, and a JD from Duke University. She currently sits as the administrative judge for the Prince George's County District Court, where she has responsibility for hearing cases and managing administrative aspects of the court. Her professional background includes Assistant State's Attorney for Prince George's County and Director of Litigation for Washington Gas Light Company. Her background is diverse and extensive. She's authored several publications, held multiple board and commission memberships, and has been bestowed many, many awards and honors. I'll only mention two. She's a founding member of the Willow Oak chapter of the Links Incorporated in Maryland, and last year's awardee of Maryland State Bar Association's Litigation Section Judge of the Year. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Judge Lisa A. Johnson.
Thank you so much, Senator Watson. Chair Hayes, Vice Chair Lamb, President Ferguson, all the distinguished members of this committee. I am Lisa Hall Johnson. I'm here today for reappointment to the District Court of Prince George's County. When I was here before you 10 years ago, wide-eyed and excited about this amazing opportunity, I had no idea of the immense pride and the wonderful work that I would be able to engage in over the next 10 years. Just 3 years into my term, Chief Judge Morrissey, who was here now, having not long been Chief Judge at that time, just 3 years into my term, appointed me as the administrative judge of the Prince George's County District Court. I thank him for the faith that he put in me at that time and the work that we've been able to do for all of these years. I've been able to support programs that help and assist litigants in Prince George's County, including landlord-tenant same-day assistance projects, so tenants can have lawyers the same day. We implemented that prior to the pandemic in Prince George's County, modeled after a few other courts, including Baltimore City. I also have same-day representation for litigants in our domestic violence docket. So those who are seeking protection can walk into court and have a lawyer represent them same day. We're doing that as a pilot program in Prince George's County as well. We have debt collection assistance, so people facing debt collection cases can meet with lawyers and advocates and help to negotiate settlements and payment plans in lieu of judgments. And so we've had that program that predated me, but I'm certainly proud to continue to support that work. We have a mental health court. We have an adult recovery court. we started a schools in court program where we bring high school students into the courthouse and do an interactive program with them on choices and those impacts of those choices. And we do that with the assistance of the state's attorney's office and law enforcement in our jurisdiction. I've also supported a reading in robes program where we go into elementary schools and we read in our robes to young people and give them books. The first time that we did it in September, we presented them with an autographed copy of Justice Sotomayor's book. Some of those kids had never owned any of their own books. These are the types of programs that I have been proud to support and look forward to another 10 years with your vote to be able to support those programs in Prince George's County, Maryland. Thank you so much for this opportunity to address you.
Thank you so much, Judge Johnson. Also, I want you to note, prior to this hearing, I received a call from our House colleague, Delegate Karen Tolles, who is here in the audience, and expressed her very strong support for your nomination as well.
Thank you, Delegate.
Are there any questions for Judge Johnson? Seeing none, thank you so very much. We're going to go a tad bit out of order and skip down to number 11 on your list in the agenda, folks. Senator Mouse has a district night where his constituents are anxiously waiting upon his arrival. And so we're going to skip down to Brian Roach from District 37. Senator Mouse.
Chairman, I can't thank you enough, colleagues. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for your patience. Unfortunately, we scheduled our district night. Tonight's our first one since I've joined the Senate. And they're down there and with a full house, they want to know where I am. And I appreciate your patience with me. It's a great honor to be here. I'm presenting Brian Roche for the Critical Areas Commission. Brian Roche, I know personally. I've known personally for 10 years. He's a member of the Cambridge City Council. He is very involved in the community. He's responsible. He's upfront. He's attentive, and he'll serve the state of Maryland and the governor excellently on the Critical Areas Commission. And with that, I'd like to introduce Brian Roche with my support. Thank you. Brian.
Thank you, Senator Mouse, and thank you, Senator Hayes and Lamb, for chairing this meeting. Just wanted to thank you for the nomination. This is a continuation of my term, so I've been fortunate to already serve on the commission for a short period, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Being from Dorchester County, which you can't throw a stone without hitting a critical area. So as a kid that grew up on the shores of the Chesapeake Bay, being intimately involved with all the people doing great work to save the bay, it's been a real honor. I was planting marsh grass as a child, didn't know what that was called, was a living shoreline. So I do appreciate the opportunity and thank you for the opportunity to serve.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Roach? Yes, Senator Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Welcome. Thank you. Thanks to Senator Mounts for the introduction. Just a quick question. I represent Maryland's coastal bays and just wanted to make sure of your commitment of highlighting both the Chesapeake and the Atlantic coastal bays, and hope that you already have a relationship with Kevin Smith of the Maryland coastal bays.
Yes, absolutely. We did. We've already had a case come before us in the coastal bays, and I'm very familiar with that area because of that. And I appreciated all the work that DNR did in prepping us and actually educating us on that area. So very familiar, and actually had one foot in the coastal bays, being from Cambridge, less than an hour away. So intimately aware of Assawoman Bay and the areas south of that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any additional questions? Seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Evening. Sarah Mouse has one more nominee, Miss Mary Tidings. Is Miss Mary Tidings here in the audience? Come on up.
Thank
Sarah
you,
Mouse.
Thank you, Chairman and colleagues, for your patience once again. It is a great honor of mine to present to you Mary Tidings for appointment to the Maryland Thoroughbred Racetrack Operating Authority. I say that slowly because those are long words and I don't want to mumble them. Mary is a distinguished citizen of the Eastern Shore with a great 35-year career with Russell Reynolds Associates. She's involved in many, many things, as well as serving on the board of the Maryland Center for History and Culture. Mary is very well known, but one thing that is not well known about Mary is her deep history in thoroughbreds. It was a part of her life growing up, it's a part of her family. It's something that's near and dear to her heart. It's something that she is very passionate about, that she's very educated about, and I think I know she will serve the state and the governor very well in this capacity. And it's a great honor to present to you Mary Tidings. Mary? Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Mouse. It's really fun for me to be here today because some of your faces I know from past history and with my own father who served in the House of Delegates. So thank you for inviting me here to talk a little bit about myself. I grew up in Harford County. And of course, I had never been in the James Senate office building until today. And I grew up with Senator James. So that was exciting for me. I have not met his daughter, who has the name of Mary as well. But anyway, thank you for having me here. I feel privileged to be on the Racing Authority. We have a great team of people. We've got some very tough issues to tackle, but I think we've got the right team to get it done. I grew up with horses, race horses, and my uncle, John Shapiro, owned the Laurel Racetrack. So I spent many years going to the Washington International Horse Race. So I feel very passionately about getting this right for the state of Maryland. And we're going to work hard to make sure it happens. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you all have. And I feel privileged to be here.
Excellent. Thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Tidings? Senator Feldman.
Not for Ms. Tidings, for Senator Mounts, since you're competing with Karen Lewis Young for district night tonight, can you identify any food that you would have at your district night you cannot find in Frederick County or the district thing? I mean, is there something that would entice us to your district night over Senator Lewis Young's district? This nomination could hinge on your answer to this. No, I'm just teasing. You don't even have to answer.
I'm so grateful for your service during this time while all these district nights are going on, colleagues. I don't want to tempt you.
Thank you, Senator Feldman, Senator Mouse. Are there any additional questions? Thank you so much, Ms. Tidings, for coming to us this evening. Senator Watson, would you like to come back and join us? This is for Justin Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening again, colleagues. Senator Watson, 23rd Legislative District, here to express my support for Mr. Justin Robinson for the Accountability and Implementation Board. Prince George's County being the second largest jurisdiction in the state, this is very, very important to me and to our districts. Mr. Robinson holds a Master's of Education from the University of Maryland, working on his Doctorate of Education from Johns Hopkins University, and is a graduate certificate in administration and supervision. His professional background includes being a numeracy coach for the Prince George's County Public Schools Mathematics Department currently, and he is a former adjunct professor at Prince George's Community College, holds many certifications, recipient of many distinguished awards, nationally board certified in early adolescent mathematics, State of Maryland Advanced Professional Certificate in 4 core content areas. Without any further ado, I think he'd be an excellent addition to the Blueprint team. He's already within Prince George's County working on a couple committees, Blueprint Implementation Committee and the Blueprint Career Ladder Development Team. I present Mr. Justin Robinson.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, and members of the committee. Thank you for this opportunity to address you this evening. As my senator mentioned, my name is Justin Robinson, and I've been serving on the AIB since my recess appointment last spring. I've enjoyed the work so far there. I'll say that the AIB has tremendous professionals on there. We have community college members, we have University System of Maryland members, we have members from county government. And what was missing was an educator in the classroom, K-12 classroom. So I've been happy to serve in that capacity, representing the voice of teachers throughout the state of Maryland on that board. So I do want to also thank the Senate and the rest of the General Assembly for that historic investment in public education. That's the blueprint for Maryland's future. I want to thank the governor, Governor Moore, for his recognition of the need for teacher voice on the AIB. And just thank you for letting me address you today. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Senator Reedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Robinson, thanks for being here tonight and for your service. And the point you made was really great about the classroom teacher. One of the things I've often thought about, my wife is a teacher and my mother was a teacher. And sometimes the really fancy big plans we have, that the folks who go to the big education conferences and write up the curriculum, they're missing sometimes that classroom focus. Can you talk a little bit about maybe some of what you tried to bring to how the plans get implemented from that classroom perspective?
Absolutely. So I teach sixth grade math. I've been a teacher for 13 years. And I recognize that there's a lot of challenges with hiring and staffing in our schools. One of the issues I'm most passionate about in the blueprint is the idea of a career ladder. I'm very invested in elevating the teaching profession, and implementing something like a career ladder requires reimagining how the day-to-day looks in a classroom. So what I've been doing, my district has kind of been trying to be a little innovative. As a numeracy coach, I support new teachers, but that traditionally we've only been mentoring them like throughout the district. What we're doing this year is we are teaching a class ourselves and doing that mentorship aspect. And so as a member of the AIB, what I can bring is the perspective of how the career ladder could actually work in real life. So I teach first, like today I taught first period. And then I went to another school and I coached 2 new teachers. I observed their instruction and I worked with them during their planning period to support them. Then I had another meeting on Zoom in central office. But when I come to the AIB, I can say, okay, so these are some things that we need to think about when we are designing a career ladder, because it's not as easy as kind of, as you mentioned, it's not as easy just saying, let's have a career ladder. You actually have to kind of test it out and see how things are working. And it's going to be some adjustments, of course, but I think we get a lot of good information by being able to try things out in the classroom and see how it goes.
That's great. And just one more question, Mr. Chair. So one issue that a lot of us that represent, well, I think almost every county has expressed concerns about just the implementation. Almost everybody agrees with the goals and wants to even spend more money on education, but there's been some challenges with each county seems to have some unique, every county has some similar problems and every county has some unique challenges. And can you talk a little bit about sort of how you view the need for flexibility in implementation of the process, not of the overall goals, but just how we get there? Can you talk a little bit about what you guys have tried to do on AIB?
Sure. I'm thinking of 2 things. So one thing is, since my appointment, we've had strategic facilitators provide some consulting to the different districts. One of the things that we've learned in talking to the different implementation teams throughout the state is that a lot of them, or a lot of districts, are trying to figure out how to make what we've been doing historically work with this new system. And we have to be more strategic. We have to think about more revolutionary changes in how we're viewing education. So we don't want to just kind of keep doing the same things that we've been doing and then try to, pigeonhole them into what the blueprint is asking. We really want to think about what the goals of the blueprint are and try to figure out ways that we can be innovative in trying to meet them.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Augustine.
Thank you, Chair Hayes. I just want to say, I just want to really say I have strong support for you, Justin. It's good to see you, obviously. I mean, you're a brilliant teacher and person who brings that knowledge and experience to the AIB that we desperately need, particularly from the perspective of Prince George's. So I'm really grateful for it. And I want to just offer my support for his nomination as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Are there any additional questions for Mr. Robinson? Thank you so very much, sir.
Thank you.
Next, Senator Hershey. And you're introducing Kelly Richards.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I am pleased to introduce Annie Richards for appointment to the Critical Areas Commission. Annie is currently in charge of water quality monitoring and advocacy as the Chester River Keeper with Shore Rivers. Our delegation has worked extensively with Annie and Ben and Matt with the Shore Rivers to make sure that we have cleaner waters on the Eastern Shore. Added information, Annie is also licensed by the Coast Guard, right, to operate 100-ton vessels. So I recommend Annie for your consideration to the appointment of the Chesapeake Critical Areas Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hershey, and thank you, Senator Lamb and Chair Hayes and Vice Chair Lamb and members of the committee. Thank you all, and thanks to Governor Wes Moore for this opportunity. I have spent most of my life here in Maryland, more specifically on the Chester River over on Maryland's eastern shore. I have spent more than a decade connecting many different communities to that river. I've taught hundreds of students how to catch white perch and blue crabs from the Chester. I have introduced those same students to countless stakeholders who make their living on and by the water. Now, as Chester River Keeper, I work with those same stakeholders to move forward important environmental solutions for the sake of the Chester River's health. I think the critical area really lies at the heart of a lot of those environmental solutions. It is the final barrier to abate pollution that's heading toward our waterways. And it's also a first line of defense for our communities in the face of climate impacts. I'm thrilled to learn from my fellow members of the commission and its planning staff, and I'm honored to serve the critical area and all of Marylanders. Thank you.
Excellent. Are there any questions here? I see Senator Carrozza.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for that background, especially it sounds like the work you've done in the community level. My question, if you heard your other colleague, I represent the Maryland Coastal Bays, and we have the head of that program of the Maryland Coastal Bays does an awful lot with volunteers and same type of different programs to, protect our coastal bays. And I just thought if you could comment about your understanding of the coastal bays.
Absolutely. Well, certainly growing up here on the Eastern Shore, I've spent my fair share of time in the coastal bays in the summertime between school. And as a river keeper, I'm connected with a network of Chesapeake water keepers. There are 18 of us total, including Taylor Swanson, who works for ST Coastal Trust and represents a lot of interest for the coastal bays. And so like Brian, I've been able to serve I'm an interim appointment. So I have served on the Critical Area Commission, and I have been able to learn from that planning staff on the significance of how those programs are implemented in your area. And I'm eager to learn more. Yep.
Are there any additional questions? Seeing none, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Senator Kelly, we're going to have you come up and introduce Baxton Baker, but once you introduce Baxton, if you also want to next introduce Annie Albright, that'd be great. Welcome.
So you want me to do both of them back to back before Mr. Baker comes up for questions?
No,
I'll just do them both. Got
yes,
it.
absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee. Thank you so much for the opportunity today to introduce to you Paxton Baker, who has been nominated for the Economic Development Commission. And I really think that we are so lucky that someone like Mr. Baker is able to work with us here in the state of Maryland on our goals. First of all, I just want you to know that he loves the state of Maryland. It's the first thing he said to me when I met him, which brought a smile to my face. But he also, and you can see from his extensive resume, has 25 years in leadership at Viacom and in BET in particular. I love this. He produced and launched the Soul Train Awards and developed the Source Awards and BET Jazz. He also, and I know this is sensitive to bring up sports right now, so I say this cautiously, but it's really important. He's the minority owner of the Washington Nationals, as well as the Washington Castles Tennis, Old Glory Rugby, and Washington Spirit Women's Soccer. And in addition to that, he has a tremendous spirit of community service and giving back. Since 2007, he's been the chair of the Congressional Awards Foundation. So he's really committed to giving back to the community. I think he's a really wonderful human being, and we're very lucky that he's willing to serve with us. And I strongly urge a favorable nomination for Paxton Baker. Here he is.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Kelly, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I thank you, each of you, for the opportunity to speak to you today. Also like to thank Governor Moore for the opportunity to serve the state of Maryland on the Economic Development Committee. As Senator Kelly mentioned, I'm no stranger to public service. I've served on numerous arts and educational boards. As she also mentioned, I've been serving as the chair of the United States Congress's official charity since 2007. The board since 2000, which is Congress's only charity for young people. So I welcome the opportunity. Public services, I'm no stranger to it. Love it when I get the opportunity, and giving back has been a part of my DNA. So welcome any questions.
Thank you so very much. Are there any additional questions? Thank you, sir. Senator
Thank you.
Kelly.
Thank you so much. So next, I'm going to introduce Ann Albright, who really needs no introduction. She's so well respected both on the bench and in the community, and she has been appointed to the Commission on Judicial Disabilities. I met her first back in 2012 when she was appointed to the Circuit Court for Montgomery County. In April 2022, she was appointed to the appellate court. She has an impeccable resume. She went to Georgetown Law, Dartmouth. She's very active in the community. Most importantly, especially for this appointment, she is a woman of tremendous integrity, and she understands the importance of judicial ethics. She understands that public confidence in our judicial system is incredibly important. She is thoughtful, and she's already been very helpful to me in my basic questions as I now serve on the Judicial Proceedings Committee. So I just think she's a wonderful human being, and I encourage your confirmation of her appointment. And with that, Ann Albright.
Thank you very much, Senator Kelly, for your very generous remarks. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for welcoming me this evening. I'm Ann Albright. I'm here on behalf of the Judicial Disabilities Commission. I want to thank Governor Moore for his appointment. I've been serving in this role as a recess appointment since the summer. The Commission on Judicial Disabilities, as Senator Kelly indicated, is utterly critical to maintaining the public's confidence in the judiciary. Our job is to investigate and adjudicate allegations of judicial misconduct, as well as disability and impairment. I am honored to have this appointment and to continue to serve the people of Maryland, everyone in Maryland. And I would welcome any questions. I would also like to say how grateful I am that joining me today is Kendra Jolivet, who is the Executive Counsel of the Commission.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you so very much.
Thank you, sir.
Next, my fellow Senate Finance Committee member, Senator Gile.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee. It's my pleasure, it's my pleasure to introduce my constituent, Dr. James H. Johnson Jr., who resides in a home in my district where 5 generations of his family have resided, and endorse his appointment to the Maryland Environment Service. Dr. Johnson is a professor emeritus of civil engineering and former dean of Howard University's College of Engineering, Architecture, and Computer Sciences. He worked at Howard University for 38 years, where in addition to being dean, he served as the Samuel P. Massey Professor of Environmental Engineering. He earned his Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering from Howard University, his Master of Science degree in Sanitary Engineering from the University of Illinois, a doctorate in Applied Sciences from the University of Delaware, and a certificate in College Management at Carnegie Mellon. He also has served the last 18 years on the Board of Trustees for Anne Arundel Community College. I'm very much grateful for his support and his service at the community college in my district. In addition to his academic background, he has served as director of the Environmental Protection Agency's National Center for Environmental Research, interim president of Baltimore City Community College, and as a technical consultant on environmental projects. His accomplishments have been recognized by both technical and civic awards. Dr. Johnson's academic achievements combined with his practical expertise make him a valuable asset to the Maryland Environmental Service. I wholeheartedly endorse his nomination and trust that his leadership will significantly contribute to the service's mission and objectives. I thank you for considering this outstanding candidate for such a vital role, and I would ask for a confirmation for his appointment. Dr. Johnson.
Thank you very much. My name is James H. Johnson Jr. Just to add another little tidbit, I was born 4 blocks from here. But I also want to thank Senator Don for her comments. The mission of the Maryland Environmental Service is to provide operational and technical services to protect and enhance the environment for the benefit of the people of Maryland. All the places you've seen I've gone, what I found is there was a connect between the activities of this particular center and the things I've done. I've collectively done policy work, I've done budget oversight, human resources, knowledge of environmental problems and technical solutions, and understanding of ethics and diversity and inclusion. Why wouldn't I want to be a part of the service?
Excellent. Are there any questions? Senator Muse.
This person privilege, thank you. My dad was also born about 5 blocks from here, George Stansbury. He was born 5 blocks from here, and I earned my doctorate from Howard. So thank you, Howard, all the way. I just want to say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Muse. Senator Carrozza.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Johnson, for your enthusiasm on serving on the Maryland Environmental Services. They have done a lot of good work with our local municipalities and local areas where often they don't have the resources or expertise. Could you expand upon that? Because it looks like that's where your interests may lie.
The way it works is that the service gets a request to help a city or municipality to accomplish something. So we'd be very much interested in looking at opportunities for us to participate on.
All right, Senator Bidel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Dr. Johnson. It's really great to see you, and I appreciate your continued service, but particularly your 18 years on our community college, making us the best community college in the state. So thank you for all your efforts, and I second your nomination.
Thank you.
Awesome. Senator McCray.
I just wanted to lean in and support the same with Senator Bidel in reference to steadying his ship for BCCC. I just wanted to say thank you. I haven't seen you in a while, and the great counsel that you were able to get us and being able to deliver, Dr. McCurdy. So thank you.
Are there any additional questions? Thank you so very much, Dr. Johnson. Senator James, what an entrance. You're up. Welcome.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Immovable doctor's appointment, inexplicable but typical wait time. And the dog ate my homework. But I let's lighten it up because I do not like to be late. And what an esteemed group of people and what an important job I have. So I apologize. I don't think I have to say too much because if you have Judge David Carey's resume in front of you, he has left a lot out. He was on the Bel Air Town Commission, but he's everything that you want a judge to be. And really his legal career before becoming a judge was everything you'd want a judge to do in preparation, being on multiple local, state organizations, particularly in a lot of areas like landlord tenant. And there's a community action committee in our Harford County that deals with people that are struggling, emotionally, but also financially. So he's immersed himself before he became a judge in just the kind of things that a district court judge is going to be presented with. I don't know anybody in Harford County that wouldn't be thrilled to see him reappointed. And I will stop. And I think Judge Carey's right here, and he's a dear friend. But I would say all of this and a lot more, but I'm late. Even if I just met him a few days ago. So I'm just delighted to be here with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Senator James. We had considered having maybe the vice chair introduce him, but I'm glad that he didn't because that ringing endorsement was so much more profound and personal.
Never get a doctor's appointment that says it'll be one thing and then another.
Got it. Judge Carey.
Thank you very much, Senator James. Senator James, we probably go back 25 years. So it's I really appreciate those kind words. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee, President Ferguson, it has been an honor to serve on the district court for the last 10 years in Bel Air. It's really been the role of a lifetime. I really feel like in that position, you get to change lives, you get to affect a lot of people's lives. And one of the things that I've been able to do in my term is serve or preside over what we originally called the Opiate Recovery Court, now known as our adult drug court, and also the mental health court. Before I was a judge, I was in private practice for 23 years and represented people all over the community in criminal situations, many of them suffering from mental health issues or from substance use disorder. And the way that the judiciary and the criminal justice system now handles those specific issues as a way that it was 30 years ago when I started practicing law has really been a great thing. And it's to try and it consistent with the Justice Reinvestment Act, where we recognize people who have drug problems, who have mental health issues, need to be treated a little bit differently than others in our criminal population. So that's something that I've been able to do with those two specialty courts, and look forward to another term where I can continue to do that work.
Thank you so much, Ms. Judge Carey. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you so much. Next, Senator Gazone.
Good evening, everyone. It's my great pleasure to introduce to you all Tahira Hussein. Ms. Hussein has been an absolute fixture in our community for supporting justice. She has been fighting for the rights of the underserved and underprivileged for decades. She most notably worked with the Domestic Violence Center in Howard County and with the Howard County Human Trafficking Organization, been fighting human trafficking for a number of years now. Aside from, though, her local experience, she has extensive legal work that she's been doing internationally for decades. And that's included both work as a consultant with Amnesty International and also with the Women Law Organization of the United Nations. So it's with that I'm happy and proud to present Ms. Hussein.
Thank you so much, Governor Westmore, Chairman and Vice Chair, and especially Senator Gazone. My whole life was Howard County, 30 years almost in Howard County. And every day I don't remember, I'm not volunteering or not doing lobby or advocacy for any organization. So I've been part of MLaw for almost 25 years. And in coming to Annapolis and going to Washington, D.C. for human trafficking and domestic violence and child sex trafficking. So we did my big accomplishment, I think, in Jessup, where there are a lot of trucker does there, and we removed that because of human trafficking issues 10 years ago. And Senator Gosuni was the one who supported all these things. So I'm honored to be a part of this commission. I started working already. And the most important thing to me is I'm enjoying being a part of very accomplished members of the commission. And I'm learning and I'm doing my part, which is not that hard. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Senator Lamb.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. It's good to see you again, Mr. Hussein. Just wanted to second the nomination. I know Senator Gazoni had mentioned it, but you've really been a fixture in Howard County with just so much community service to give back to our community. Really looking forward to the opportunity for you to step up in the statewide role as well. So thank you for being here.
Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Are there any additional questions? She's anxious to get away from the podium. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. I'm not used to this.
All right, Senator Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, Mr. President, members of the Executive Nominations Committee. It's a pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Andre Townsell, who's been nominated to serve on the Juvenile Services Education Board. Dr. Townsell is currently the superintendent of schools in Howard County. It serves over 15,000 students in 24 schools. He is a breath of fresh air to the Howard County community, having been appointed back in 2022. Dr. Townsell is a Howard University alumni, where he received his bachelor's degree in physical and secondary education, his master's degree in educational administration and policy, and his doctorate in educational leadership and policy studies. He's recently, it's been announced that Dr. Townsell will be an awardee from Howard University, an alumni, and hopefully I won't butcher this, alumni of a Distinguished Postgraduate Achievement Award. He will be the 345th out of since Howard's within the entire history of Howard University. He's also the first Black president-elect for the Public School Superintendent Association of Maryland. Before leading the Calvert County Public School System, Dr. Townsend served as a superintendent and assistant superintendent in Michigan Public Schools, where he's from, as principal in Massachusetts and vice principal in the District of Columbia, along with other important positions. Throughout his career, Dr. Townsend has worked to serve the needs of a student body that represents diverse experiences and backgrounds. Again, he's doing some terrific work in Calvert County that leads to prioritizing and understanding and accommodating the needs in a conducive environment to ensure that our future leaders get the best education possible. And with that, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I present to you Dr. Andre Townsend for your consideration for appointment.
First, I'd like to thank Governor Westmore for the appointment. Thank you, members of the Senate Executive Nominations Committee. My job is just to serve in excellence and truth and service like I always do. My hope and goal is to have an expert lens at the Juvenile State Services Education Board. I started my education career in the District of Columbia working in alternative education. And I've worked in every capacity as an educator, from student teacher all the way up to a highly effective superintendent. And my goal is to serve. So that's what I'm gonna do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions? Senator Smith.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your willingness to serve and for your service. Just a couple broad, just one broad question is, obviously, we're in a space where the Department of Juvenile Services is under some review, and just given where we are politically and some stuff happening across our state, wondering what do you see as the most significant challenge for you in your oversight role for this unit within DJS? I mean, is it a resource thing? Is it is it certifications? Is it attracting and retaining folks to actually come in and provide the educational services that are required? What are some of the more significant challenges that I know it's a kind of a broad 50,000 foot
It's a great question. I think the major challenge is the lack of human capital. If you think the traditional education setting have a hard time retaining, attracting, and sustaining educators, just imagine members of the education community that work in the Juvenile Services Department. So human capital, there's a lot of vacancies. The same where there's vacancies in traditional education, the vacancies are larger in the juvenile setting.
Sorry, one follow-up question, Mr. Chairman. Obviously, that's a problem. Like, the vacancies have been a problem in the making for quite some time. Where's most of the workforce coming from? What are their backgrounds? Are they coming from traditional public schools? Are they coming from?
Yes, they're coming from traditional public schools, but it's important to share that across the state of Maryland and even across the country, young people or individuals going into the field of education is at an all-time low. I have the privilege of sitting on the board of visitors for the School of Education at Howard University, as well as the advisory board for Georgetown McCourt School of Public Policy, Education, Finance. People are not going into the field of education because education has a perception issue. Still the perception of low pay, still the perception of overworked, underappreciated. So one of the other major concerns is just communication and promoting the field of education, which is one of the reasons why I'm in the field.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Just so I look forward to working with you. Obviously, this is something this is a space that's particularly hard to attract folks to come in. It's a difficult space to operate in. And so look forward to continuing that conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Smith. Are there any additional questions? I know former Senator Dolores Kelly, this was a major priority of hers over the years and making sure our young people were educated. Thank you for your service. Any additional questions? Seeing none, thank you so very much. Senator McCray. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, Mr. Senate President, and this distinguished body, it was my pleasure, my profound honor to be able to rise and support and stand before you in reference to the nomination of Quentin Herbert. Director Herbert is the Chief Human Capital Officer for the City of Baltimore. He's also served as the Deputy Labor Commissioner for the City of Baltimore. He's also served as the Assistant City Solicitor for the City of Baltimore. And long time ago, he actually served as the legal counsel for the School Board of Commissioners for the City of Baltimore. He's a graduate of Morgan State University. He received his law degree from the University of Maryland. He also, Senator Sidnor, I know that you will be proud, is fined the year 1906, very important. But he's also joined behind us by his wife. He's also, I always say, one of the most important jobs that he have. I know you all would agree, but he's a father of 3, and he's a grandfather of 2. So, Mr. Chair, it is my distinct honor, like I said, to support the nomination of my friend, Quentin M. Herbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, Mr. President. First, I'd like to thank the governor for this appointment. I'd like to thank my neighbor and my senator for those remarks. My career has been in public service. The lion's share of my professional career has been in public service. I think that one of the touchstones of effective civic governance and public trust is transparency. And the Public Information Act is the process by which the public gains that transparency. It's the process by which they gain information about how their government works. And so I am thrilled to serve in this capacity. As it was mentioned, I do have my wife here with me. I'm privileged to have the wife of my youth who supports me in everything that I do. And I'm looking forward to working in this committee. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions? Okay, I see Senator Sidnor.
No, I was just looking through your resume, and I found the good senator. He found it a point to mention 1906, but I don't see it anywhere in your resume. Is that an oversight?
It wasn't an oversight. I think that he's seen me out in the yard in my black and gold and assumed, much to the chagrin of the chair.
Very good.
So despite Mr. Herbert, he is an excellent public servant. Despite his judgment in fraternal organizations, Senator Augustine, he has served our city and our state with great distinction, and we welcome here to this committee. Are there any other questions for Mr. Herbert? Thank you so very much, sir. All right, Mr. President. Oh, there, you moved quick.
Jumped over. Good evening, members of the Executive Nominations Committee. It is a pleasure to be here with you. While I am not Senator Simon Ayer, he was unable to make it today due to an illness, but did send a letter along for Mr. Greg Cross to serve as both the member and chair of the new Thoroughbred Stadium Operating Authority. But I've had the distinct honor and pleasure of working with Mr. Cross on a number of occasions. I would dare say, there's probably no one more knowledgeable about the history and long storied journey of Maryland racing than Greg Cross, who is a partner at the reputable firm of Venable and has been a part of almost every negotiated compromise in Maryland's racetrack industry for the last 15 to 20 years. And so as we move forward in this very precarious moment, an important moment for Maryland racing, there's no better person to lead this new organization to navigate our way through. Without further ado, strongly endorse the nomination of Mr. Gregory Cross.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee. I want to thank you for your time tonight. I want to thank Governor Moore for the appointment. And I want to thank, I've got several of my committee members here who were newly formed, but they've been hard at work over the last 6 months. I think we have some exciting recommendations for you, but we've been tasked with a big job in a short amount of time. So I look forward to coming back and talking to you about those things. But I understand brevity is the order of the day, so I'll open the floor for questions.
Excellent. Are there any additional questions for Mr. Cross, Chair Cross? Senator Sidnor.
I was just looking at your resume and good evening. You said that you represented the estate of Michael Jackson.
Yes, I did.
Uh,
I actually represented Michael Jackson before he died for.
See, and I was gonna ask, okay, I think I was gonna
I did,
ask
I
that.
did.
Thank you.
For 3 years. It was a big part of my life. I got a lot of gray hairs from that.
Are there any additional questions? I think if Senator Carter was here, we both would agree. The Pimlico Racetrack borders both of our district, really important work ahead of you all. And so we look forward to the continued work of the authority. So thank you so much for appearing here
Thank
today.
you. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Senator Heddleman. I thought I saw, yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Good to see you this evening. I don't know Mr. Cross, but I would say that Mr. Alan Foreman vies also for the title of knowing the most and having the most experience about, I don't want to upstage the president, but having a lot of experience in the representing horsemen and knowing a ton about the equine industry, about horses, about health, about tracks, about racing, about the storied history in our state of Maryland. So I am very happy to be here today to introduce my constituent, someone I've known for a couple of years, Mr. Alan Foreman, who was nominated by the Maryland Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association to be on the Thoroughbred Racetrack Operating Authority. And I, like the chairman, have a district that also is adjacent to Pimlico. It is very important, even though I represent the county, it is very close. And many of my constituents, including Mr. Foreman, have lots of experience with Pimlico, Preakness, et cetera. So without further ado, you have his resume in front of you. He has a ton of experience. New York has hired him to do lots of things there. We are very blessed to have him here in Maryland and his expertise. He's the chairman and CEO of the National Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association. And welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks to my wonderful Senator Heddleman. Good evening, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, Mr. President. This is a very unusual moment for me. 45 years ago, I was recommended to the new Attorney General, Steve Sachs, to join his office. And I went for my interview, and the first question he asked me was, what do you know about horse racing? On the heels of the Mandel scandal. And here I am 45 years later. I have appeared before Senate Finance, Senate Budget and Tax, Senate President offices for 45 years. Started with the Attorney General's office, then working with Maryland Racing Interests when they came to me 42 years ago and asked me to work with them. And I have developed a national practice and very much an international practice. But my heart is Maryland racing, always has been Maryland racing. And there is not a matter involving Maryland racing that I have not been involved in over the years. And I know many of you have appeared before you, have met with you, but there's no greater challenge than what we're going through right now. And I'm honored that Governor Moore has appointed me and that I have the opportunity to hopefully cement the legacy of Maryland racing and preserve and protect this great industry for generations to come. This is a great team that I'm working with. Greg Cross is an extraordinary chair. You'll meet Tom Rooney, who is president of the National Thoroughbred Racing Association, Mary Tidings, and Jeff Hargraves. And it's just an honor for me. And I thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Mr. Foreman. Senator King.
Thank you. I hate to tell everybody, but I've started my 21st year in the legislature. And Alan, I think you've been here every year to work with. And it's always been a pleasure. And I have always really respected your opinions and the experience that you have. So you're in a great place.
Thank you, Senator King. It's nice to see you, Senator Gazzoni. Thank you, Senator Zucker, Senator Muse. There's so many of you, Senator Delaney James. I hate to leave somebody out, but I'm going to get in trouble. But
that's okay. Senator James.
It's so nice to see you. And it was also nice to see Mr. Cross. And this is more like a suggestion. I hope you like to write. I hope Mr. Cross does and some of the other. I think your group at some point should write a book about the experiences. And you might start back when you first began with Steve Sachs and what brought you into that particular incident and the world that unfolded afterwards. Extraordinary. My dad happened to be in that milieu when that happened. But I just think there's a lot of great information and history among many of you. And I think you'd do a real service if you'd share some of that at some point.
Thank you. Jim Clark was president of the Senate
Right.
then. The day I walked into the Attorney General's office, a harness track here went belly up. The owners were indicted for money laundering, the Shammies. You might remember that, Senator King. And I walked into a crisis the day I walked into the Attorney General's office, and I guess that's what sucked me in. I never got out. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Are there any additional questions for Mr. Foreman? Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Chair Bidle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, and President, and all members. And Mr. Chairman, it's so nice to see you in that seat. It was so nice to give up that seat. But thank you all. I'm pleased to endorse Mr. Jeff Hargrave for the Thoroughbred Racetrack Operating Authority. Mr. Hargrave lives in District 32, which includes Laurel Racetrack, not Pimlico, but he brings a long and very successful business experience and also is an MBE contractor since 1991. He fills one of the slots. One of the three members must have an industry, business, or government experience. And that's what Mr. Hargrave will bring to the commission. He has a great deal of experience working with Maryland State entertainment facilities, healthcare facilities, educational facilities, and nonprofits. An interesting fun fact is Mr. Hargrave's company, Mahogany Inc., did the woodworking in this room and most of the Miller building. So I thought you might appreciate hearing that. But I encourage the committee's support of Mr. Jeff Hargrave, and I thank him for serving.
Thank you, Senator Biden.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Excuse my voice. I'm a little hoarse from, I went to some game yesterday. I shouldn't have went, but in any event, I want to thank the Senate. I want to thank you, Chairman Hayes, for this opportunity. Good to see you, President Ferguson and Vice Chair. I'm Jeff Hargrave, and needless to say, I'm truly living the American dream. I'm so honored to be appointed by the governor for this huge monumental task we have in front of us. But I just want to say how grateful I am because, as I say, I truly am living the American dream. And, you know, I grew up in the state of Maryland, proud son of Baltimore City, and the state has been so great to me and my family. My wife is here to support me today. And I just want to say I'm honored and ready to serve and ready to make sure that we can make Maryland racing what we know it can be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hargrave. And I just want to take a point of personal privilege, second the nomination for Mr. Hargrave. His company, Mahogany, is headquartered in the 40th District, but he also chairs the President's Roundtable, which historically has had a history of providing opportunities for Black-owned businesses, mentoring opportunities to advance wealth in the Black community. He's done an extraordinary job as a leader here in our state. And also honor Madam Hargrave there in the back, who's always holding it down. And they just have such a beautiful family, including their daughter Ryan, who just gave birth just like a couple of months ago. They're just extraordinary people. And so thank you so much for joining us this evening. Are there any additional questions for Mr. Hargrave? Thank you so very much.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Next, we're going to have Mr. Vice Chair Lamb introduce Mr. Tom Rooney.
Good evening, members of the committee, Chair Hayes. It's my pleasure to be able to introduce the Honorable Tom Rooney for his appointment to the Thoroughbred Commission this evening. He has a long record of work in the thoroughbred industry. I assume that's why I was asked to introduce him. Howard County, a fun fact here, Howard County is one of the highest per capita counties when it comes to horses in the country. And so we certainly produce our fair share in Western Howard County. So Mr. Rooney has not only good depth of experience in thoroughbred industry, but also previously served as a captain in the U.S. Army in the Judge Advocate General's Corps, long distinguished history there, as well as in Congress as a member of Congress representing Florida's District 16 and then District 17. He currently serves as the President and Chief Executive Officer of the National Thoroughbred Horse Racing Association and is also a member of the board of the Maryland Horse Breeders Association. And with that, let me introduce the Honorable Tom Rooney.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Lamb, Chairman Hayes, Mr. President, and members of the committee. I'd also like to thank Governor Moore for appointing me, as well as the Maryland Horse Breeders Association for putting my name forward when this authority was being formalized. More importantly, I think maybe to this committee is that our family has owned and operated a breeding operation in Carroll County in Woodbine, Maryland for over 70 years. And that's pretty much what's sparked my interest in horse racing, as well as it just being interwoven in my family's history, and that being based here in Maryland since I think the 1930s and 40s. So with that, I'll open it up. I know my nomination is a little different than most, so I appreciate any questions.
President Ferguson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Rooney. And of course, I see the one and only Crick Goodall behind you from the breeders. And so her recommendation goes a long way. And so obviously, you have a national perspective. As you sort of look at the industry overall, what do you see as the biggest headwinds and maybe the best opportunity kind of in this moment with horse racing?
I mean, with regard to Maryland and the Mid-Atlantic region, it is certainly to make sure that we are competitive with New York, Kentucky, Florida, California moving forward. And as Mr. Foreman has said, we are kind of on the precipice of getting that right or wrong right now. And I do really appreciate the governor recognizing that and putting forward this authority who's sitting back there of extremely talented people to show how serious he is in making sure that Maryland is not left behind. A lot of that has to do with assuring the public that we're putting forward the best possible product, the safest product, and something that fans of our sport can be proud of, especially specifically here with the second jewel of the Triple Crown, something that I think that we can bring back to the prominence that it deserves. A lot of people don't know that the most watched show on TV every year is Super Bowl. The second is the Kentucky Derby. So we have an opportunity here to continue a huge legacy in Maryland, and I'm just honored to be part of it.
Excellent. Are there any additional questions from this? Thanks so much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Last but certainly not least, we're going to have Senator Benson coming up. As Senator Benson make our way to the podium, I do want to recognize the presence of the chair of the University of Maryland System Board of Regents, Linda Gooden, who's here in the audience, as well as the chancellor for the University System of Maryland. Oh my goodness, Dr. Jay Perman. Thank you and welcome. I know you both are here in strong support of our student member to the Board of Regents, who will be introduced by our very own Senator Joanne Benson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and members of this committee. I am here this afternoon to recommend or to speak on behalf of Hosea. I hope I said that right. Josiah. Jose? Mr. Parker, as a member of the University System of Maryland Board of Regents. This young man is a marketing major with double minors in entrepreneurship and multimedia journalism at Salisbury University's Purdue School of Business. He completed his Associate of Applied Science. He completed his Associate of Applied Science at Anne Arundel Community College before matriculating to Salisbury University. As a transfer student, say your name again. I don't know any more than I knew at first. As a transfer student, he brings a perspective that has not been held by past student regents. He completed courses at Anne Arundel Community College Entrepreneurial Studies Institute and was a recipient of the college's Radcliffe Foundation Entrepreneurship Studies Institute Scholarship, which provided $12,000 scholarship and coaching for students with entrepreneurial aspiration. As a Radcliffe Scholar, he distinguished himself as a charismatic student leader. While taking classes and working at Goodwill, he established his own company, an apparel brand named Life Visions that features inspirational messages designed to provide enlightenment and positivity. Wonderful. At Salisbury, he continues to run his company and work as a freelance content creator. He is also active in a range of student clubs that include the Philosophy Club, Marketing, Excellence Club, CEO Club, Black Student Union, and NAACP Club. Last summer, he was selected as a next-gen White House Historical Association leader, joining an accomplished list of influential young professionals representing a wide variety of fields, bound together by a passion for history, civics, and education. In discussing why he would like to be a student regent, he shared a strong desire to improve the campus experience for a wide range of students. No doubt influenced by his transfer experience, he spoke passionately about how community college provided a supportive environment for him and prepared him for his transition to university. He sees financial feasibility and establishment of new degree programs and pathways as critical to increasing student enrollment and success, and would like to focus on these issues as a regent. It is my profound pleasure to introduce this rising star as a member of the University System of Maryland Board of Regents. And I will have him to pronounce his name.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Chair Hayes, Vice Chair Lamb, President Ferguson, and other members of the Executive Committee. My name is Josiah Parker, and I'm the student regent for the University System of Maryland. I would first like to thank Senator Joanne Benson for considering me for this nomination, as well as Governor Westmore for appointing me as the next student regent for the University System of Maryland. This so far has been an incredible experience as I've been able to engage in policy, as well as oversight issues related to student experiences, as well as the operations within university systems. I began this tenure within this position on the Board of Regents back on July 1st. And throughout this whole entire experience, I've been able to visit over half of the different institutions within the system and also engage with students and also faculty members, just going over ways in which we can improve not only the different institutions, but also offer more insight on student concerns that students are going through. And I feel like that is very important when it comes down to how we all can make the state of Maryland better again. And so far, this has just been an incredible experience. And I would just like to also state that I am honored to also thank the USM Student Council, Chancellor Perman, as well as everybody else that was behind my back, as well as being able to advance my position within this certain opportunity. And I would just like to say that throughout this whole entire time, being able to represent over 170,000 students is something to really speak of. It speaks a lot of volume. It showcases true value. And I just look forward to being able to show other students like myself that, you know, things are possible. Your vision is possible. And the more that we can combine like-minded people together, the more that we can make this world world a better place. And last but not least, I would just like to say many university government boards tend to not have student representation there. And so on top of that, they don't even have students being able to have, they don't have the ability for students to be a voting member. And I feel as if this is definitely a privilege as well as an obligation that I take very seriously. And I look forward to being able to learn as much as I can, as well as being able to inspire other students to do the best they can to be exactly who they strive to be, so that we could all make Maryland a great state to be in. Thank you so much.
Josiah, welcome. It was just only a couple of years ago that I served on the University System of Maryland Student Council. And obviously, just a couple of years ago. But obviously the student region plays a very, very important role to all of the students in the University System of Maryland. Not that I'm there very much, but I was there on campus at Coppin State University, where I met you not too long ago. And true to your word, visiting every school in the system and checking it out. It was a pleasure to meet you then. It's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. And thank you so much for your presentation. Senator Benson did such an extraordinary job introducing you. You're involved in a lot.
Yes.
And so it's definitely show that they have the right person for the job. Senator Sidnor, followed by Senator Carozza.
And good evening. I will say that it was certainly more than a few years ago, because Senator Hayes and I served together. Yeah. And it's funny because I ended up on the student council because I sent an application in to be the student region, and something mysteriously happened to my application. You remember that? Yeah, so anyway, I'm totally impressed and look forward to seeing you. We have UMBC in my campus, and we'd love to see you there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Parker, welcome. And I'm proud to represent Salisbury University, as well as the University of Maryland Eastern Shore and Warwick Community College. And it's certainly, after reviewing your resume, you certainly benefited from the strong business and entrepreneurial programs at Salisbury University. And I congratulate you for that. My question for you is, since you kind of have a unique background with the community college and, you know, the university, if you've noticed in my district, those three really work together and leverage partnerships. Do you see how that may be done at the state level and the stops that you're making around this, you know, with your visits on the campuses?
Yeah, I'd say just through me being through this experience, I'm able to see a lot of changes being made, a lot of progression. I think I'm still getting acclimated in understanding, you know, certain students that I know the certain students I would need to talk to, but other people that I would need to talk to in certain positions that could bring those certain types of changes on a state level. And it starts with just me being able to have a better understanding of exactly the 12 different institutions within the system, and figuring out what are ways that we can accommodate those different 12 institutions based on where they're at and what students' lifestyles are like at those specific campuses. And I just also like to point out, just being able to go from community college to that four-year institution at Salisbury University, it provides me the ability to showcase the experience that I've been able to incorporate and find ways on creating those solutions so that we can bridge that gap on students that may have issues going from community college to a four-year school. So I think it's about just really advocating that more and being able to showcase other ways on how students that still want to pursue that four-year college, how they still have a chance and everything's still possible. It's just about making sure that we direct students in the right areas so that they get everything that they need along the line.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Are there any additional questions for Mr. Parker? Seeing none, that's it. We've successfully made it through our first Executive Nominations Committee hearing for 2024. Yes, thank you. And do we pause and then vote, or what? We go it now? All right. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Vice Chair Clarence Lamb.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Move to approve the nominees on tonight's agenda, nominees 1 through 23, as well as the other statewide nominees, S1 through S27.
Second.
Seconded moved by Vice Chair Lamb, seconded by Senate President. Are there any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, seeing none, it's unanimous. All right, and before we close out, there's a comment from Senator Feldman.
But just real quickly, I didn't want to bring it up during the hearing, but Delegate Senator Kelly's nominee, Ann Albright, is the daughter of former U.S. Secretary of State Madeleine Albright. I didn't think it was germane to the hearing, but I just thought I'd bring it to the committee's attention.
No, thank you for sharing that with us. Means adjourned.